Hello, my name is Kate and I'm an English teacher. In this video I would like to give you some tips that helped me while I was studying English at school and at university and that now help my students. So if you're interested, continue watching. And tip number one is always make a schedule. I tell to my students that studying any foreign language is the same as training. If you train, for example, once a month, you do it really productively for 3 hours, but you do it only once a month, you'll probably won't see any result. But if you train every day for at least 20 minutes or in a day, you'll see the progress much faster and you'll improve, and it would motivate you not to give up and to continue training. The same works with studying any language. I think 20 minutes is not a long period of time and every person has 20 minutes a day or in a day, okay? But if you make some schedule and follow it, you'll see your progress, you'll improve much faster, and that would motivate you to continue studying and to speak better. Tip number 2 follows the first one and it sounds like always set up a goal. What I mean, I've never lived in an English-speaking country and my country is quite far from any English-speaking countries, and we don't have quite any foreigners. Okay, we have some, but we don't have a lot of foreigners to practice, to communicate with. To study English in such conditions, to speak it fluently, to have a lot of synonyms in your head, not to be afraid to talk on any topic, it would take about 3 or 4 years. And 4 years is a really long period of time, and people usually give up because they think that they do not see the result and they're not motivated and they quit studying. So I recommend you set up some really small goals. Your aim shouldn't be from scratch to speak as a native speaker. It should be some small goal and you should always set up some deadline. For example, in September I'll learn all frequently used irregular verbs. It's about 100 verbs and 300 words. You will know their translation, how to use them, in what context to use them, some synonyms, and you'll see that when you compare your results, for example, on the 1st of September you knew about 20 or 30 verbs, but now you know 100. You'll understand what work you've done, and it would motivate you to continue studying. Tip number 3, I think, is the most crucial one, and I haven't heard somewhere on YouTube or from my teachers, I don't know why, and it sounds like retell. If you are studying English in a group, the pure time of your speaking isn't as big as time when you do grammar exercises all together or read all together. So the time while you're pronouncing the words is much less than the other aspects. And if you study English by yourself, I also think not many people say out loud the words, communicate, speak if they are studying it alone. And the problem is speaking, because you do not have practice in it. When a person meets a foreigner, it's difficult to start communicating. So retelling can tell in this quite a lot. You shouldn't retell some really huge article. Just take a small text, it can be 1 or 2 passages, read it, just translate it to your native language, maybe underline some new words, and try to retell it with your own lexis and trying to use some phrases from this article. And you'll see that some words that you translated without any dictionary, without any help, are difficult to pronounce. I think you've seen the same situation in your native language. When some friend of yours tells you some tone that you do not use, but you understand it, you've heard of it, or you read some tone in a book, you also understand it, but when the time comes to express it, tell it by yourself, and you've never done it, it can be difficult to remember this word. You know it, but you can't pronounce it because it's difficult to remember. It's in your passive vocabulary. The same happens with English. To make the words come to active vocabulary, you need to pronounce these words, and retelling, if you do not have some person to communicate with, is the best option. Tip number 4 is quite widely spread and it's quite interesting. Find the most suitable way for studying that works for you. Nowadays we have not only some textbooks or grammar books, we have a lot of opportunities to study the language. So pay some evening to yourself, just think what do you like to do in your native language and try to do the same stuff but in English. And it can be watching YouTube, it can be watching series or movies but turn the subtitles on. It can be, I don't know, reading, for example, read your favorite book in the original. And while doing this, you won't feel that you are studying, and it would be always interesting for you because you like this activity, and you'll improve your language much faster. And the last tip for today, tip number 5, it's find a study buddy. We can also compare this tip with training. I think you've noticed that it's much easier to start something new, to go to the gym or to sit on a diet, if you do it together with your friend. And even when you're lazy or when you're sick, when you do not have any desire to continue studying, your friend would motivate you, he would share his own progress. And you'll definitely won't give up if you have such a person, and you'll continue studying together faster, more interesting and more productive. These were 5 tips from me. Of course I haven't mentioned all of them, and it would be interesting to read below which of these tips you find useful. Maybe some of them you already use while studying the language, and maybe you have some of your own tips that help you and they can help other people. So please share them below. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you, and have a great day and never give up studying English.